Thank you, Carol, for the introduction, and I'm really excited to talk on this new topic of mentoring and coaching. To set the scene for this presentation today, I have a checklist of 3 initial questions for each one of you. Do you have a passion for your EA and PA role? Do you take responsibility for your own professional development? And do you support the career progression of other admin staff in your workplace? I can promise you that if you've answered yes to just one of those questions, then this topic will be of vital importance to you. Learning how to coach effectively may well be one of the most important things that you ever do for yourself and for your organisation. Whether you take the driving seat as a mentor, or whether you pick up on the opportunity to be mentored yourself, the benefits to you can be truly significant. Either way, there's an interesting fact that emerges, and that is, as mentoring and coaching progresses, you learn so much about yourself. It's a journey of discovery. As you're helping someone else, you're growing as well. And at the heart of every effective mentoring relationship, you will find strong communication skills. Simplistically, that means skills that each one of us has. Talking and listening. How easy is that? As EAs and PAs, we're skilled at that. How well you progress will depend entirely upon your level of commitment and your attention. Now, because communication is right at the heart of all of this, it's pivotal in all of this. And I have a passion for interactive presentations. I've got a warm-up exercise for you all, and I think at this time of the day it's important that we stretch our legs a little. So I'll just share with you what we're going to do here. So I would like, in a couple of moments, I'll get you to stand and move away from your tables and find someone that you haven't talked to before today. And this is what we will undertake in pairs. So you'll have to, somebody, all you have to do is decide who's going first. Okay, so what we're talking about is a positive experience which has happened to you. Now, it may be linked to your workplace, it may be about your family, friends, something that's happened at home. In fact, even this wonderful environment here, or networking opportunities that you've had already, that choice is entirely yours. Now, this focus is about strong communication. So person 1 shares the example, what it was, when it happened, what occurred, and how did you feel? So at this point in time, it's not actually about your mentoring and coaching skills. There's no test of that. What I would like to hear is someone really engrossed in telling the story, and person 2 is absolutely listening, picking up all the detail. Now, if we have an uneven number and I see that someone is left out of a paired situation, please raise your hands because I'll make sure that you're involved in this process. So I will join someone if we have somebody left over. So now I've allowed in this presentation 2 to 3 minutes per person. So the shared experience. So all you'll hear from me is time to swap and time to stop. So let's go. Let's go. Find someone you haven't talked to before and share this positive experience. discussion. Time to stop. Time to stop now. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. Well, that turned out really positive. It was actually a bit difficult to stop you all there because we've got something left over for the drinks a bit later down the track. Thank you for sharing. You know, the communication is absolutely vital, and I was having a conversation with someone earlier today. We've moved forward so much with technology, and sometimes I wonder, is it too far? You go to a cafe and what do you see? 4 at a table. Mum and Dad with their iPads out, the kids playing, you know, on the iPads or whatever. And you know, there's something lost there. What happened to the moment in time where you actually communicated? Now, I was talking to someone just out the doorway from Perth, was it? Raise your hand for the area. We talked about living in the moment and being mindful of that opportunity to chat and have a talk. And you know, the communication in your mentoring and coaching is right at the base of it. You know, we hear in the world about real estate. What do they say? We always hear it's about location, location, location. Now, in mentoring and coaching, it's all about communication, communication, communication. I've had opportunities to mentor admin staff over the years, and I've also had the good fortune in my role to personally experience informal mentoring. In my session, my aim is to inspire you and to encourage you to have an open mind about this initiative as we take a fresh look at mentoring. It's fair to say there's been a marked awareness from organisations and companies as they recognise the advantages for involving staff in this practice. Within an organisation, a mentoring culture has the capacity to attract, not only to attract, but to retain excellent staff, increase work satisfaction and employee motivation. And to those who engage in this process, this promotes a real feeling of self-worth, of value, and a real sense of belonging. They feel like they're really, you know, they're contributing and they're getting feedback. Adding mentoring into a learning and development makes organisations gain greater benefit from their best resource, from their own people. So that means all of us. And we are a great asset. We're the biggest expense. The salaries is the biggest expense to an organisation. So why wouldn't they invest in us? And for each one of us, our own EA and PA performance level should be really vital in today's tough economic climate. Regardless of whether you engage as a mentor or a mentee, there's one thing which really stands out, and that is the huge opportunity for each one of us to reap tangible benefits of professional growth. So I'll share with you the amazing positive experience that I had. I had the good fortune of working for an amazing boss at Auckland University for 6.5 years. And during that period of time, my director became an accredited and a certified coach, topping her class with ease. So what that meant for me personally was that I had in-house, informal, one-on-one coaching on a regular basis. And I can distinctly recall, we've spoken about this first IQPC event with Carol and I met in 2009. I was contacted by IQPC and asked, would I take part, would I facilitate a workshop? And I was so excited. I went bounding in to my director's office and I could hardly contain myself. I explained what had happened. She said, that's fantastic. You know, good for you. What a wonderful opportunity. You get back in there and you tell them you're on your way. And you know what? As an EA and a PA, I really believe that what you offer to your boss or the people that you work for is trust, honesty, openness, and respect. And you know what happened just there? it was offered right back to me in a heartbeat. There was no hesitation, there was all the support, and it was though she was almost expecting it. In a positive working environment, there are unique opportunities to achieve massive leaps and bounds in terms of your career progression. Quite honestly, the only thing which has the potential to hold you back are the limits that each one of you place upon yourself. And a coach and a mentor can provide you with that courage and the inspiration that maybe you're just a little bit short on. So I guess my first message to you is let's not downplay the potential for opportunities arising from these meaningful relationships. The importance of knowing yourself to advance your career is something some previous speakers spoke about. It's a significant factor in focusing on your thoughts and aspirations. So here are some examples of exploratory thinking as you might be moving forward into the mentoring and coaching world, whether you're going to do mentoring or you're being mentored. These are the things that you need to think about. What would you miss the most if you couldn't have it? What are the qualities that you value in others? What values do you hold as being important to yourself? These are quite gritty questions. And the very big one, what are your short and long-term goals? Personal values are the sense of worth that we place on the important aspects in our world. They are the convictions that we hold about what we believe is important to have and to uphold in life. So a little check now about mentoring and coaching, the definition. This is it in a nutshell. So what you're seeing here, on one hand, there's a real need. Someone's wanting to progress and to grow. And on the other hand, you've got an individual willing to share. So what an absolute win-win situation. Now we're all aware that plan development is essential for all practicing professionals. So the responsibility for this development must always lie with the individual. But the active support of a wise colleague in the role of a mentor can be really helpful at particular times. For example, if you're just setting out and you're early in your career as an EA or PA, the chance to have discussions with someone in the senior level, someone that you've seen do their role in just this exquisite way, leadership, organised. You know, these skills that stand out. In the workshop yesterday, we talked about the competencies that you need. Communication, flexibility, confidentiality, and trust. You see someone operating in that way, it's really not a bad idea to arrange to have a coffee with them. And just say, are you willing to be someone who I can talk to, who I can, learn and grow from? It's the environment that presents to you if you're certainly through your career and you're mature in your role. You can add so much to your workplace by adding value in this area. If someone is struggling and you're aware of it, have that quiet conversation with them. I reflect on my time, I guess, in the health sector because it was there that informal mentoring began. And it actually started because we met as PAs once a month. And so a good relationship was formed. We had presenters in, or we viewed, for example, Starship Hospital, the Children's Hospital. There was something every month, and those relationships grew and grew. And what actually happened, I arranged that some of them over a period of time just come and see me, have a coffee or whatever. And I checked in with them. What was happening in their lives, in their work lives at that time? What was on top? What was important? What were the challenges that they were facing? And I offered to them immediately at that point that if the things that they wanted to share, those conversations remained in the room. It wasn't a case of sharing and then you're passing on that information. You're in quite a unique situation when you're trying to help someone and work through an issue that they trust in you. And the mentoring and coaching relationships all rely heavily on that strong trust. So So what you're offering is a genuine sharing and support. And there were many occasions when we worked through so many issues. And it's important to remember it's a real privilege to promote a positive outcome with that person. The neat aspect about helping other people is that you learn so much while you're helping them through that situation. You know, there's things that come up down the track, maybe 18 months later. Similar things occur. You know, in the roles that we have, you know, the problems that arise often can be quite generic in each one of your roles. And the neat aspect about it is, you know, there's a tangible bonus. By that I don't necessarily mean a happy ending every time. I mean, life isn't like that. You can offer advice and support, but the end outcome will be whatever it will be. An interesting thing I'll share with you, I had someone who came to me during that time in health, and they said to me, look, I've got a really good role, I've enjoyed my role, but I'm thinking about leaving. And I asked what the situation was, what was the problem. I was quite surprised. And she shared with me that she said, my boss in 3 years has never once said thank you. Not once. And she said, I know that sounds really bad, but she said, I've got to the point where I come into work each day and it's like it's stamped on my forehead. Is this going to be the day that my boss will say thank you? And she said, it's actually become larger than life. And I just realized, it's not about, you know, I'm sure all of your bosses might say thanks once a week, twice a week, once a day, whatever. And I don't mean the patronising thank you. I mean a sincere thank you. It goes a long way. But here was someone never recognised with those two words, thank you. And I said to her, look, a lot of the things we can solve, but even if you explain that to your boss, do you think that's going to make them any different? They might feel compelled, but you know it's not going to be genuine. So if it's important to you, unfortunately, we had the lady that left her role. What's neat is I see the exposure to various situations and the learning which emerges for you as a mentor. One significant piece of advice that I have for you as you may take your first step in the mentoring role is avoid the temptation to offer an immediate solution to the mentee's issue. Their opportunity to learn and their potential for growth will be limited if you jump in with a quick fix. Mentoring is the ability to put forward an idea as opposed to a solution. And as you develop your mentoring skills, you'll recognise specific requirements as they emerge. Offer perspective and a suggested way of approaching the issue. So you see, this encourages the person valuing their own creativity and independence. You know, mentoring and coaching is not just about problem solving. You know, if you engage in it yourself, it's not like you're going to stack up all these questions and there's going to be an immediate answer. You have to grow and you have to work in your role. To be successful, it is a two-way street. And you have to have that mentoring relationship. Trust is right at the bottom. And you have to go in there with a mind about what do you want out of it. Or if you're coaching someone else, what do they want out of it? So what happens as your mentoring proceeds? You might see someone has a professional need. And that's an easy fix. It could be someone that's had a new boss arrive, they do a lot of presenting, maybe they want all these whizzy PowerPoint presentations. And so that person may be feeling, look, I need to upskill. So I mean, that's an easy one. You can point them in the right direction, they can have training, no problems there. But the other thing that emerges is personal. It's personal needs. So someone might know how to do something, but they just can't make it happen. They're kind of stuck on a hurdle. They're not quite sure how to get there to the finish line. So an example of that might be someone who has to deal with a difficult situation, something that's really tough. It might be a difficult person. They might well, we talked about an issue before, earlier on this morning. But those confrontational situations are really hard to deal with. And so if you're mentoring someone, the best thing that you can do is have them role play. Have them work through what is the issue. Have those conversations, you be the person, the offender or the person that's causing the grief, and let them role play and act out with you what it is that they're going to say. The other important thing is that you prepare them well with a plan B. you go into something that's pretty stark situation. If you can be seen sometimes to compromise and give a little bit, you may not get your plan A, but if you lose a little bit of ground, you often, that other person will kind of think, well, they've conceded a little bit. So those are some tips as you head along. Now I'll just move along to the slide here, and I'll let you have a look at that as I just go. So what do we have here? You're all ready, you've hit the starting line, and you're ready to do some mentoring, or you're ready to be mentored. Now, I know you're probably all keen if you're trying it out for the first time. And these are the things, the framework, these are the items that you need to work through with the person. So if you look down the first letter of each statement, what does it read? Whoa. Just hold back a little bit. Just take it in your stride, take it carefully, and don't expect that you're just going to have ultimate success. Just go quietly about it. Now, all of these slides are going to be attainable online, so you're welcome to make your notes. But these are the things these are the tools that you'll be able to use if you're mentoring or coaching. So, whoa, take it easy. Now, an important element of mentoring should include reflective listening. If any of you have been involved in mediation or had to kind of sort out a tricky situation between two people, this is what we often use. We use reflective listening. In essence, you hear what the issue is from a party and you summarise it back. So you're mirroring to them what you've heard. Now, for some people, that's the first time this problem has got out of their head. They'll actually heard someone repeat it back to you. It gives a valuable opportunity for the mentee to reflect on their thoughts. Is it as bad as what they think? Now, a couple of pertinent questions you might raise for clarity when you're exploring various scenarios would be, get that emotion out on the table. Some of these tricky situations, emotion clouds everything. What you need to do is put it to one side and focus on the absolute issue. If there's an issue to be worked through, you explore with them. How do you really feel about all of this? So in many ways, let them have the dump. Let them have that, dumping of that information and get it off their chest. And then you can reel them back in and say, what is it that you're actually trying to achieve? What is it that you actually want to achieve out of this difficult situation? Again, rehearse with them. Or if someone's hooked on a hurdle and they just can't get over, and they say, look, I've tried this before and it doesn't work. So, explore that further. Say, give me an example when taking that approach was difficult. Let them voice to you, why was it such an issue? And then you can investigate, pull it apart, and take it bit by bit. It's actually about being a sounding board for people. Sometimes people just want to share with you. And when they do that, they're ready then to move on. They don't always need an answer. The communication, the most important thing with communication is what? It's the listening. It's a really strong tool. And as an EA and PA, I'm sure you've all well-developed skills in that area. The other thing that mentoring provides is the opportunity for exploring career choices with people and their planned development as an individual. A bit of a reality check in that area. Be mindful when you've been asked to give them information or an idea about, what might be their choices and where they're heading. It's important not to set a goal or a task that's way beyond their means. If you're working with an early career EA or PA, make that goal achievable. It's up here that they can reach it. But if you set something way too high, they'll be discouraged. And your mentoring relationship could topple over. So extend them, but don't overextend. As each little success builds, they'll just get higher on that ladder and they'll have more self-esteem as they work through that. If a formal mentoring relationship is sought, and that is the understanding, and that is the agreement reached, that's quite different. You know, what I say to you is avoid falling into a situation where your friendship becomes more important than the actual mentoring itself. You know, it may be advantageous if someone approaches you and said, look, I really want some formal mentoring, I like what you're doing, I can see what you're doing in your role, you know, will you formally mentor me? My suggestion to you is that you could almost draw up this mini little document. If it's formal, you know, you record in that document how often they want to meet, what it is they want to get out of the mentoring. You know, will you set them some homework so that when you finish the session, we may meet with you next time, see how that's going. I mean, all of that's quite formal, but people approach wanting different aspects out of mentoring and coaching. You see, if you do that, it avoids the potential for miscommunication. They're not going to walk away and say, say that didn't really work for me. So have a clear understanding what it is they want to get out of mentoring and coaching. A small word of warning, avoid taking a higher ground approach with your feedback. True and effective mentoring is about providing a genuine, sound, caring and well-considered approach to the task at hand. The reward in assisting others is evidenced by their development, but also the learning that you achieve. So to summarise, my suggestion to you is to think seriously about your own workplace environment and consider the options you may have for mentoring admin staff or early career EAs and PAs. There's no greater opportunity than the development of others in our industry. Now, if any of you are here, early career EAs and PAs, maybe you're in your first role. I have no idea of knowing what stage you're at in your career. If you're new into a workplace environment, the thing that you can do that gains so much trust and respect is to communicate well with others and listen. So sometimes when you're new into an area, you feel a real newbie, and it's all really hard. But build a trusted relationship with colleagues at your workplace. And, reassure them that if they want to have some chats with you, if they want to talk about something, you'll be someone who will listen, you'll be there. And, that's the first step on the road to mentoring and coaching, is to be a really good listener and someone that they can trust. Now we'll come to the second part of the exercise, and this is for you to go back to your peers again and just pick out who's going to be the first person again. I want the first person to talk about a work issue currently being faced, something you'd quite like to improve, change, or a situation you'd like to handle more effectively in the future. We're not talking serious stuff, but something that you think you could maybe handle better. So I'd like to share that with your partner that you met up with before. Again, I'll give 3 minutes time to share. And you could think about, when the person's talking about the situation, use this template. Some of these questions really are quite relevant when you're picking up that new topic. When I say time to swap, person 2 then explains that. So away we go again. couple short stories, but time to swap now, so we keep on track. Thank you.
Oh, very good. We could go on to the rest of the evening, I think. Once we got started on our conversations. Sarah and I had a really good discussion here. Just difficult sometimes when you're away at a conference and, the phone's going and, you're away from your work. I have to say that in coming to conferences when I'm presenting or facilitating, my golden rule is I'm away. And I actually don't get on with my email and I don't log in. And when this conference finishes tomorrow, I'm on annual leave. So the first time that I'll see my emails is when I head home on Wednesday of next week. We talked about the world won't fall over if you haven't actually done something sometime. I know we all have to be accessible, and I realise, we're dealing with very busy people with very busy roles. Sometimes it's about having that understanding with your boss. Yeah. So I hope you gained some insight there into listening to someone else's issue. Maybe you learned about, how you might help them, and also gave yourself a chance to talk about something that's maybe not quite working well. You see, sharing a conversation, it helps. Sometimes it's about just getting it off your chest. It feels a heck of a lot better when you do. But if you feel like there's someone that's really listening and paying attention, that's when you're going to get worthwhile benefit from it. Each year, the Staff Organisation and Development Unit at Auckland University conduct a Women in Leadership program. And we're very lucky at the university. This has been going since the year 2000, so they're into their 13th year. The objectives of the program are to increase the numbers of women in senior positions, also to enhance the opportunities for women to be recruited and retained, which is something we talked about right at the beginning. You know, when you have a mentoring and coaching culture in your organisation, it attracts staff. They're keen to see, they're keen to grow, and they want to actually get engaged in that practice. It fosters formal and informal learning, mentoring and career development for women. So it's an enormous tool that you can tap into. You know, you can Google so many things. I could have included so much in this presentation, but I actually brought it down to the personal level. So how you help others and how you just might think about that idea of being mentored. I'm very fortunate. Next year, I'm actually on the Women in Leadership program at Auckland University. It is something that I haven't gone near. My role was busy as an EAPA, and I really enjoy the conferencing. So it's about how on earth am I going to fit that in. But I have a commitment. I put forward a really strong application, and I found out 2 weeks ago I'm on the mentoring program. So I'm absolutely delighted. If opportunities for you to be mentored and coached are not available or forthcoming, my advice to you is to take a proactive approach in your organisation. As I said, you might be aware of a senior staff member who displays absolute fantastic leadership. I talked about in the workshop yesterday, each one of us as EAs and PAs can bring leadership into our role. If you see someone who's dealt with a really tricky situation and they've handled it really well, take out of that in your workplace environment the learning that you saw. How is the tough stuff handled? Now you can also show initiative by arranging an informal catch-up with someone, and you can shadow or follow someone in a role. But you know, be proactive. The way you approach is quite crucial. Be prepared for that conversation, explain what you want to get out of it, and would they be willing to mentor you. I've seen so many times where these opportunities eventuate, and truly it comes down to your positive approach with this. In summary, we may well turn to an experienced person when we require guidance or a sounding board. Mentoring and coaching is building momentum, and it's proving that it's a natural process which provides growth and support through a clear framework and guidelines. You know, coaching is both an art and a science which can be learned. It is subtle, yet it's also very powerful, and it's a way to discover and manifest your full potential. I hope that you'll be committed to taking this activity further so that when you get back to your workplace, you'll keep the motivation alive with a plan of action. And I'd like to thank you, each one of you, for your positive audience participation. And I'll leave you with these thoughts in terms of your own career journey and growth. It's really not about how far you've come, but how far you're prepared to go. And remember, it's also about bringing out the best in others. Thank you.